Hello everyone, I hope you're doing good. Welcome to this interesting tutorial on SQL tables by SimpliCode. In this session, we'll understand how data is stored in the form of tables in SQL and also discuss some basic SQL queries related to these tables. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe to our channel SimpliCode to stay updated with all the latest tech content and hit that bell icon to never miss an update from us. So without any further ado, let's get started with today's topic. Firstly, let us discuss the agenda for today's session. We'll start the tutorial by understanding what is SQL table, and then we'll look at how to create a table. After that, we'll see how to drop a table. Followed by that, we'll see how to insert a new value into the table. And then we'll look how to delete a table. After that, we'll see how to truncate a particular table. And then we'll discuss how to alter an existing table. After that, we'll see how to rename an existing table. Finally, we'll look at how to copy a new table. What is SQL table? Tables are the essential elements of a database, and in particular for relational databases, as it is one of the most used data models to store and retrieve data from tables. Tables are basically an organized collection of data that consists of rows and columns. Another point to be noted is that a table has a specified number of columns but can have any number of rows. Let us understand this with an example. Here, the name of the table is taken as an employee, and in SQL, naming a table is very important because before performing any operation, you have to specify the name. Also, the name of the table should be unique and it should not match with other tables in the database. The horizontal values represented in the tables are called as rows or tuples, and each row represents a unique record. Similarly, the vertical values represent columns or the attributes of that particular table, and each column represents a unique field in the record. As we can see in the table, employee ID, employee name, job, department number, salary are the various fields or the column names. The data in these multiple columns, such as the employee name Rohan, who's having employee ID 1011, who's working as a data analyst, belong to the department 3 and having salary 50,000, is stored in the form of rows. I hope you've understood what is an SQL table now. So let us now discuss some basic SQL queries that are performed on these tables and execute them in MySQL Workbench as well. SQL create table. SQL create table is foremost thing to do in SQL. If you want to create a table, you should name the table and define its columns and each column's data type. Let us now look at the syntax of create table. The syntax is followed as create table, which is the keyword used here. Followed by that, we have to mention the table name. And within the parenthesis, you have to mention the column names. Followed by that, you have to mention the data type. In this way, you can add a number of columns as per your choice. Now that we have understood the syntax, let us jump into MySQL Workbench and execute this.
If getting your learning started is half the battle, what if you could do that for free? Visit Skill Up by Simplilearn. Click on the link in the description to know more.
As you can see, MySQL Workbench has started, and on the left side you can see that SimpliCode is the database which we are working on, and in that database we are going to create a new table. So let us now look at the syntax of create table. So the syntax is followed as create table, which is the keyword we are using. Followed by that, we have to specify the table name, that is, we have taken employee in this case, and within the brackets or the parenthesis, you have to mention the column names. Followed by that, you have to mention the data types. Here, I have taken column names as ID, name, city, job, and salary. And finally, I've chosen the primary key as ID because it uniquely identifies each and every record in the table. In the end, you have to close the brackets and mention semicolon. Let us now execute this query and see the output. As you can see, our table is successfully created. So in order to display the values or whether or not our table is created or not, we have the query as select star from the table name, that is employee. Let us execute this and see the output. As you can see, the table is created and it is showing the column names as ID, name, city, job, and salary. So in this way, you can create a new table. Next, let us discuss about drop table. Drop table, in other words, is to delete a table. The SQL drop table statement is used to remove the table definition and the overall structure of the existing table. Be careful that while using this command, because once a table is deleted, then all the information available in the data will also be lost forever. The syntax for the drop table is drop table, and then you have to mention the table name. So let us now look at the example. Now, for some reasons, if I want to delete the employee table, so the syntax would be drop table followed by that the name of the table, that is employee. Let us execute this. As you can see, our table is completely dropped, and let us now see if it is actually deleted or not. For that, we'll use select statement. Select star from the table name, that is employee. Let me execute this query. As you can see, it is throwing an error stating that table SimpliCode.employee does not exist. This means you have successfully deleted the existing table employee. Let us now discuss the next topic, that is SQL insert table. SQL insert statement is used to add new rows of data into a table. This can be a single or multiple records into the database. The syntax for the insert table is insert into, which is the keyword, followed by that table name, and within the parentheses you have to mention the column names, values, and again within the parentheses you have to mention the values. So here the column 1, column 2, column 3, and n number of columns are the names of the columns in which the table you want to insert the data into. You may not need to specify the column names in the SQL query if you are adding values for all the columns of the table, but make sure the order of the values is in the same order as the column in the table. Let us jump into the execution part now. I'm taking the same name, that is employee table, to insert the new values. So the syntax for inserting new values into the table is followed as insert into table name, that is employee, and within the brackets we have to mention the columns that we have taken earlier, that is ID, name, city, job, and salary. After that, we have to mention the values using the values keyword. So within the brackets, I'm mentioning the ID name as 101, name as Rohan, the city that he belongs to is Hyderabad, and the job that he does is DA, that is data analyst, and the salary that he earns is 40,000. So let me execute this query and see the output. So as you can see, our query has been successfully implemented. Now let us display the results by using select query again. Let me select this whole query and execute this. As you can see, the details of employee name, that is Rohan, whose ID is 101, and the city he belongs to Hyderabad, his job data analyst, his salary 40,000 is being successfully displayed. So in this way you can insert new values into the table. Up next, let us discuss about delete table in SQL. Delete table in SQL is used to remove rows from a table. This can be a complete row from an existing table or a specific row. If you want to remove a specific row from a table, you should use where condition. But if you do not specify the where condition here, it will remove all the rows from the table. The syntax for delete statement is delete from the table name. So let us take an example now. Suppose if I want to delete the records of the employee who's having employee ID as 102 in the table employee. So the following query would be delete from table name, that is employee, specify the where condition keyword, that is where, ID is equals to 102. Let us execute this statement now. As you can see, our statement has been successfully executed. Now I'll display the records by using select statement. As you can see, the employee ID who is having 102 has his employee ID has been successfully deleted from the table. So in this way you can use delete statement to delete a particular record from the table. Let us now discuss about truncate table in SQL. Truncate table statement is used to remove all the rows from the table. That means it deletes the complete data from an existing table. It is similar to that of delete statement, but here we do not use the where clause. Truncate table is faster and uses lesser resources than the delete table command, as it deletes the records at a single time. Drop table command can also be used to delete the complete data, but it also deletes the structure of the table as well. Truncate table does not delete the structure of the data. So the syntax for truncate table is truncate table, and after that you have to mention the table name. So if I want to delete all the records from the employee table, the following query would be truncate table, followed by that you have to mention the table name, that is employee. Let us execute this and see the output. So the query has been successfully executed. So let me use the select statement to display the records. As you can see, all the information of the employee has been successfully deleted from the table. But if you look at the output closely, the structure hasn't been deleted here. The column names of the table, that is ID, name, city, job and salary, have been retained, but only the values in the table have been deleted. So in this way, you can use truncate statement to delete all the records from the table at a single time. Make sure that you use this statement carefully, because the rollback process is not possible after using truncate table statement. That means if the data is once deleted, it is completely deleted permanently. Next, let us discuss about SQL alter table. The alter table in SQL is used to add, modify and delete columns of an existing table. In many situations, you may require to add columns in the existing table. So instead of creating a whole table again and again, you can easily add single or multiple columns using alter table statement with the help of a keyword add. Let us now look at the syntax of alter table. The syntax is followed as alter table, table name, add, and within the parenthesis, you have to mention the new column and the data type. So let us now jump into the execution part. Consider the same table employee again. Suppose if you want to add a new column, that is date of birth of the employee in the above table, for this you have to type the following query as alter table, mention the table name, that is employee. After that, mention the keyword add, and within the brackets mention the new column name, that is date of birth, and the data type of the date of birth is date, so I'll be mentioning the data type. Close the brackets and put the semicolon. Let us execute this statement now. As you can see, our statement has been successfully implemented, and I'll use the select statement to display the new records. As you can see, there's a new column named date of birth has been successfully added to our existing table employee. In this way, you can use alter table to add or delete the columns from the table. Let us now discuss about SQL rename table. SQL rename table is used in SQL to change the name of the table. So in some situations, the database user might want to change the name of the table so that they want to give a more relevant name or the updated name to the table. Any database user can easily change the name of the table by using rename table and alter table statement in SQL. Let us look at the syntax now. The syntax is followed as alter table, current table name, rename to new table name. Let us now execute this in MySQL Workbench. Consider the same table employee again, and suppose if you want to change the name of the above table employee into, let's say, employee new, for this you have to type the following query, that is alter table, old table name, that is employee, rename to is the keyword that you have to use here, and mention the new table name. We are taking employee new as our new table name. So let us execute this and see the output. As you can see, our statement has been successfully executed. So let us update the schema here and see whether or not the name of the table is changed. So as you can see, our table employee, which we had previously, has been changed into employee new. In this way, you can use a rename statement to give a new name to your existing table. Finally, let us now look at SQL copy table statement. If you want to copy the data of one SQL table into another SQL table in the same SQL database, then it is possible by using the select into statement in SQL. The select into statement in SQL copies the content from an existing table into a new table. SQL creates the new table by using the structure of the existing table. The syntax is followed as select star into new table name from the old table name. Let us now execute this in MySQL Workbench and see the output. Consider the same employee table again, and suppose you want to copy the content of the employee table into a new table, let's say employee details. Now, as far as MySQL Workbench is concerned, there is a slight change in the query. Now, the syntax that we've discussed earlier is applicable to some other SQL databases like Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle database. But for MySQL Workbench, there is a different syntax to copy a new table. So the syntax is followed as create table, mention the new table name, that is employee details. Now select star from the old table name, that is employee. Let us now execute this and see the output. Now it will throw an error stating that the employee table doesn't exist. That's because we have renamed our previous employee name table into employee new. So instead of employee, change it to employee new. And let us execute this statement now. So in order to display if the employee table is created successfully or not in the database, let us use select statement to display the records. Select star from the table name, which is the new table name, that is employee details. Let us execute this now. As you can see, the details that we had earlier in our employee new table has been copied into another table, that is employee details. In this way, you can copy the content from one table, existing table, from another new table by using copy statement in SQL. And with that, we have come to end of today's session. These were some of the queries that were related to SQL tables. If you want to learn more about SQL, make sure to check out our previous playlist in our channel. Also, we have a dedicated video, SQL Full Course 2022 for beginners, wherein we have discussed SQL and various concepts from the scratch. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you found this tutorial useful and informative. If you have any further questions regarding any of the topics covered in the tutorial, feel free to let us know in the comment section below, and our team of experts will be more than happy to resolve all your queries. Until next time, stay safe and keep coding.